Cause like my man told me, you can't stop what God got planned.
Gene Deal just stepped forward with a bombshell that's flipping the entire Murder Inc. and versus G-Unit feud upside down. According to him, Ja Rule was the one who allegedly put a $25,000 bounty on 50 Cent's head. And what makes it even wilder, Irv Gotti reportedly knew the whole time.
It came to light for y'all that this dude wanted me dead way before I came to YouTube.
Gene didn't sugarcoat anything. He called it straight. Ja Rule and Irv Gotti were out here putting out contracts. He claimed there was real money moving around behind the scenes. That $25,000 figure, it's not random. On the streets, that's long been considered the standard price to have somebody seriously hurt or worse. And according to Gene, this wasn't just talk. It was a serious plan discussed by people with one foot in the industry and one in the streets. That's a heavy accusation, suggesting that Ja Rule, Irv Gotti, and Murder Inc.'s inner circle were plotting something that could have ended 50 Cent for good. And it's not just speculation. Gene said it loud and clear during an interview on The Art of Dialogue just a few months ago. So far, no one's ever been arrested or officially linked to putting money on 50's head, and that case has gone cold. But the timeline?
How you the bully and the victim at the same time?
It tells a different story. First, 50 starts beefing hard with Ja Rule and Irv. Then he's stabbed at the Hit Factory by Murder Inc.'s own black child, who's admitted to it publicly. Just months later, 50 gets hit, shot 9 times right outside his grandmother's home. Even though the feds never officially named Ja Rule or Irv Gotti in connection to 50 Cent's infamous shooting, Gene Deal's recent claims have reignited all the heat. He's not pulling punches. He says they knew exactly what they were doing. And when you dig into the ties, it gets deeper. Let's not forget, Supreme, a longtime Murder Inc. affiliate, is the same figure 50 called out in the infamous track Ghetto Quran.
It wasn't Supreme, it was Irv Gotti and his people who put that on 50. That's why 50 hates them so much.
That song? Many say it was the final spark that placed a target right on 50's back. What Gene's revealing now points to one thing. This wasn't just a random street hit. According to him, the attempt on 50 had the fingerprints of the entire industry on it. Labels, artists, and executives didn't just stand by. They allegedly turned their heads, knowing full well what was being put into motion. Gene Deal's not a random name either. He was working as a bodyguard for Diddy during the peak of the Bad Boy G-Unit and Murder Inc. era. He was right there seeing the power plays go down in real time. And now, he's breaking the silence, smashing the code wide open. But why wait nearly 20 years to say something? Gene claims the truth was buried so deep, it was almost forgotten.
Who saved him? People be like, God. Your first thing is, yo, God saved this guy. Maybe the devil, maybe Satan saved him.
Now, he's determined to dig it up. And what he said next? It puts Irv Gotti at the center of it all. According to Gene, while Supreme may have been the street muscle, Irv was the true mastermind behind the scenes. Gene even revealed that before things turned violent, Irv and Ja tried to play it smooth. They allegedly offered 50 Cent $250,000 to squash the beef. They even brought in respected street figure Chaz Williams to mediate peace between the camps. But when 50 refused, Gene says Irv completely flipped the game plan. Gene claimed things shifted from "let's settle this" to "let's get rid of him." That's when the $25,000 bounty got serious, and Irv's own crew dropped the bag.
Chaz had worked the deal out for Irv Gotti and them to give 50 $250,000.
Now, Irv Gotti isn't just being painted as a label head. Gene's painting him as a shot caller, running both boardrooms and block strategies. For years, Irv Gotti was the face of Murder Inc., the mastermind behind Ja Rule's rise and the label's signature sound. But behind that mogul image, insiders whispered about deeper street dealings. Irv wasn't just moving music, he was allegedly tied to real weight, with a bond to Supreme that went way beyond friendship. Supreme was no small-time player. he was a known kingpin in Queens. Irv stayed close enough that by the early 2000s, the feds were investigating Murder, Inc. for allegedly laundering drug money. So when Gene Deal claimed Irv made a street-level call to greenlight 50 Cent, it didn't seem far-fetched at all. In fact, people say Irv wouldn't even need to pick up the phone. It could have been handled with one word. The beef between him and 50 Cent was never just about music. It got physical real fast. After 50 was stabbed at the Hit Factory, Irv and Ja tried flipping the story by flashing fake paperwork, accusing 50 of being a snitch. It was a desperate move to destroy his street rep. Once peace talks collapsed, things got darker and talk of a hit started swirling. What's crazier is that Irv's been doing interviews for years, still denying responsibility and crying foul, claiming he was blackballed by the industry. He keeps blaming 50 for ruining his career and even went so far on Vlad TV to say 50's got the devil on his side. That's what saved him. Why say something like that unless you truly tried everything to stop him and it didn't work? Gene Deal is now on record saying Irv Gotti wasn't blackballed, he just finally got exposed. Still not buying it? Here's the kicker. 50 Cent himself backed Gene's version, calling him one of the few insiders who actually tells the truth. Meanwhile, Irv's been out here rewriting the past on podcasts, in documentaries, playing the victim during 50's rise to the top. But Gene says Irv wasn't a casualty. He was a strategist working behind the curtain. And now Gene's claims place both the motive and the money in Irv's hands, something not even the feds have dared say out loud. But it gets deeper. Gene claims Murder, Inc. wasn't alone in keeping the heat off. They had help. And what he reveals next exposes how far the silence really went. When 50 Cent got sprayed with bullets outside his grandmother's house in 2000, the industry should have paused. Instead, nothing. No statements, no rallies, no outrage, just silence. That silence, it told the real story. It wasn't just the streets shielding Supreme, it was the entire music industry. Supreme had major pull, with deep ties to artists and executives moving real money. And he wasn't the only power player involved. Jimmy Henchman, another feared figure with feet in both the streets and the studio, managed big names like The Game. Years later, he was convicted of putting a hit on one of 50's associates, Lowell Lodi Mac Fletcher. The message was clear. 50 was boxed in. Between Supreme and Henchman, he was surrounded by enemies who had cash, influence, and muscle. So when 50 got shot, the silence wasn't confusion, it was protection. Too many folks were cashing checks to care, and no one wanted to risk crossing the ones pulling strings behind the scenes. After the shooting, 50 Cent wasn't treated like a survivor, he was seen as a problem. Columbia Records dropped him immediately and shelved his debut album, Power of the Dollar. Major publications blamed him, painting the attack as something he brought on himself. He wasn't supported, he was blackballed, frozen out, and branded as too dangerous. Why? Because he exposed too much. He called out street bosses and record execs alike. How to Rob made waves, but Ghetto Quran hit a nerve. It laid out real street dealings connected to real power. With Murder, Inc. tied to Supreme and Jimmy Henchman managing big artists, no label wanted 50 in the building. He wasn't just a rapper, he was a liability. So instead of defending him after a near-death shooting, the industry distanced itself. The silence, it wasn't random, it was calculated, meant to protect the business and the people behind it. Then things took an eerie turn. Daryl Homo Baum, a known Supreme associate and the alleged shooter, was gunned down just weeks after 50's attack. Whether it was street revenge or a cleanup move, the outcome was the same. Witnesses stayed silent. No one talked to the feds, no one stepped up to the media. And as Gene Deal pointed out, this didn't look like coincidence. This looked like a system doing exactly what it was built to do. Protect Murder, Inc., keep Supreme's name clean, and punish 50 for not dying. The deeper question, how many executives knew the truth and said nothing? How many turned their backs to protect deals, careers, or alliances? When 50 Cent got shot 9 times and lived to tell the story, he didn't just walk away, he became a threat that the entire system couldn't ignore. 50 Cent flipped his trauma into a legacy. That near-fatal shooting, It became the fuel for his entire rise. He wasn't just another rapper from Queens. He became bulletproof, literally and symbolically. But Gene Deal is challenging the legend, claiming what fans saw as survival was actually the result of an orchestrated plot, and that the industry knew the truth all along. 50 didn't run from the pain, he made it powerful. His brand, his album covers, and even his early documentary leaned into that moment. He didn't ask for pity, he embraced the pain and made it iconic. In interviews, his tone stayed cool but unshakable. I got hit 9 times, I'm still here, now what? That attitude became his weapon, but it wasn't just image. His music told the truth. On Many Men, 50 didn't spit fiction. He relived the real attempt on his life. That haunting hook, "Many men wish death upon me," wasn't metaphor, it was a warning. Pain, fear, and vengeance poured out of every line, and listeners felt all of it. The real question lingers. Why was no one ever held accountable? Everyone knew the story. 50 Cent was nearly taken out, yet no one went to trial. Daryl Homo Baum, believed to be the shooter and tied to Supreme, was murdered weeks later. Supreme? He got locked up years later, but for unrelated charges. Still, no justice for what happened to 50, no courtroom, no consequences, just silence. Gene Deal keeps pressing that issue. He says this wasn't random, it was a hit, sanctioned by men with power, influence, and money to make people vanish. According to Gene, the only reason 50 Cent survived was divine timing, luck, and God. From Biggie's murder to East Coast power shifts, Gene Deal was there when things got dark. And now with Diddy facing 6 trafficking charges, federal raids, and a looming RICO case, Gene's message is loud. I'm not going down with him. But it's not just Diddy catching heat. Gene's also coming for Irv Gotti. Irv's been all over the media lately, Drink Champs, interviews, podcasts, trying to reshape Murder Inc.'s image. He wants the world to believe he was just a misunderstood exec, not the street-level mastermind many insiders say he really was. According to Gene, Irv and J. Rule have spent years rewriting their roles in the 50 Cent feud, portraying themselves as victims of beef instead of orchestrators of real street hits. Gene claims they didn't just feud with 50, they tried to eliminate him, even placing a bounty on his head. Now with Ja Rule back on tour smiling for fans like everything's cool, Gene's saying, this isn't finished. He says he's stepping forward now not to chase clout, but to draw a clear line between what he witnessed and what he actually did. This isn't gossip, it's self-preservation. With RICO cases and lawsuits looming, Gene knows the storm is coming. Speaking now before the flames get closer might be his only way out. Still, he insists it's not just about him. It's about exposing an industry that protects power and buries victims. He's tired of seeing trauma turned into entertainment. He's tired of seeing silence used to protect the guilty. Gene says it's about telling the story right for the ones who didn't make it and the ones still too afraid to speak. Is Gene exposing the truth or trying to rewrite his role before someone else does it for him? Some say he's a whistleblower. Others say he's just flipping the script before it flips on him. But one thing's undeniable. He's naming names, dropping figures, and connecting dots. And very few are pushing back. If Gene Deal's telling the truth, somebody out there still has blood on their hands. Now, if you want more real stories from the heart of the music industry, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss the next drop.